Well, this is where we get into the longer answer. So you'll have to give me a couple minutes to kind of walk you through this, because in order to understand that, you have to understand the competitive landscape, and you have to understand the general state of the submersible community back then. And honestly, it hasn't changed much in 15 years since then. There are not that many subs in the world. Those of you doing the investigation probably got an immersion course in this over the last year. There are not that many active submersibles in the world, and certainly none in the private sector. Will Conan knows the numbers better than anyone, so when he testifies, you can ask him. But I think there are less than 100 active submersibles in the world, and almost all of them dive relatively shallow, less than 1,000 meters. And as Patrick Leahy testified on Friday, the average depth of the ocean is 4,000 meters, which covers about 65% of the ocean. So the bulk of the subs that are out there today, as in 2009, go relatively shallow. And when you consider that the ocean covers 70% of the world, the planet, it's nothing as far as trying to explore or study the world's oceans. So we wanted to change that. We wanted to give humanity greater access to the ocean, and specifically the deep ocean, anything deeper than 1,000 meters. And initially, like I said, our goal was actually 6,000 meters, because 6,000 meters gets you access to about 98% of the world's ocean. So that was kind of our goal. So you have to work backwards from there, which is, why is there not enough access for humanity to dive deep into the ocean? And one of the key reasons for this was kind of inherent in Patrick Leahy's testimony. And by the way, I've known Patrick for years, and I have full respect for him, and I loved his testimony on Friday. But one question that no one asked Patrick, and that he didn't volunteer, and is not on his website, is how much does subs cost? And you can imagine from these intricate machines to be made as safe and as versatile as Triton subs are, they're expensive. They're millions of dollars. And they're also generally heavy. And because they require a mothership or a support ship, that support ship usually has to have a crane big enough to take the sub in and out of the water. And usually that's an A-frame, which means the ship you're instantly talking about a very big ship. And because of that, most of these subs are basically mated to dedicated motherships. And this is true of the government subs too. There are 5 deep diving government subs in the world. The French have one, the Americans have one, the Japanese have one, and I believe the Chinese have 2. And each of those is mated to a dedicated mothership, which means that you can only dive the sub wherever the ship is. And it takes a lot to move that ship, in large part because it needs a lot of fuel, which is expensive. And so if you're trying to explore the world's oceans, and given how big the world's oceans are, having 5 government subs and 5 government ships, or now the only other deep diving sub that I know, which is the Bakunawa, which is formerly the Triton-built limiting factor, on one ship, that's 6 subs in the entire world, 8 billion people. It's to use someone else's words, it's a travesty for humanity that there's so few subs available to go into the deep ocean beyond 1,000 meters. So, and I know this is a very long-winded answer to what seems like a very straightforward question, but as you work backwards from the cost of the subs, the cost of operating these subs, the number one factor is actually the fuel on the ships. And the number one factor driving the fuel on the ships is the size of the ship, which is driven by the crane. And so the thought that we had early on was, if we could have these subs be pre-positioned around the world and have them so that they could operate off any ship of opportunity, so you didn't need it mated to a dedicated mothership. So you could put it in a container, a standard shipping container, ship it anywhere nearby from wherever the home base was. Find a local ship that could be used, put it on board, and operate it from there, we would increase the access that humanity had to the deep oceans. Let me stop there.